Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican, running for mayor of Abbotsford. The first thing I'm going to do is get the RCMP, and I'm going to get them into Abbotsford to take it over on the organized crime that was in Abbotsford, halting criminal investigations, covering attempted murder, and the list just went on, collaborating and everything else. It was a full-out buddy system. Henry Braun had no respect for the law. He had no respect for positions or people that were in position. It was abuse. Henry Braun went in there with his lackeys and his friends to abuse this community, take advantage of the city, lift jobs, fast tracks jobs, look at the official community plan, and he was going to set up to be rich. But Abbotsford residents were suffering. They lost the right to speak at the city. They were being threatened to speak at the city. They were being told they couldn't speak at the city, and Abbotsford police were threatening. When people wanted to stand up and run in the mayor elections, they would be threatened by the Abbotsford task force. You couldn't do that. To all South Asians, I want to make it clear when I will say this. Darren Braun is Henry's son. He was a proving officer in front of his dad, which is inside trading and collaborating to lift jobs. His dad figured he'd step off and let Darren and Ross run the decisions. Really smart. Abbotsford First, Dave Lowens, and Abbotsford First knew what they were doing when they did it. You saw what Greg Toes of the Chamber of Commerce did when he tried to bribe me. They saw it all. I stand on the largest stage, social media, because of the mission RCMP, saying two things. You can leave or you can fight for your community. Abbotsford loves you, Mr. Pelican. I want to thank the RCMP. We're going to go after the insider trading and the organization of crime. Let me explain something to you. I'm down on Ron Funk of Diverse. Diverse, Sage, read the logo. Abbotsford Developers, let me show you what happened. Now this is Darren Braun. Imagine Henry's son saying, come here, look at how my dad's going to make it rich. City officials were involved in it too. Make no mistake that I'm telling you, they weren't. They were filling their boots off of this community. And Abbotsford First was figuring if we outvote the community and have Vicky Hopes, who played a major instrumental part of covering from the law and covering to scandal people so Henry could hold that mayorship and that stuff. Henry knew when I got in I was forensic on it. So I want to speak to you. When the Augustine billionaire came to develop up in Augustine, he spent time and research and a lot of money to find out that that was a high-end community to live. And people were willing to pay to live there. Darren Braun took me and he said, look, my dad's going to slam that little Oriental ass guy down no matter what. And I said, how's he going to do that? The guy's a billionaire. He said, you know, unless my dad gets a part in anything, he doesn't get it, he's going to vote. City council's going to collaborate with him and vote it down. This was Henry Braun. So the night of the Augustine billionaire proposing all these deals and job sites, Henry Braun had him shut down. Laughed and giggled. But let me show you what Darren Braun showed me. He wasn't the only one. Imagine that you got a small piece of property, you know it's in the zoning, you know you can change that 5 acres now and do multi-family dwelling. Henry was stopping it and having council voted against it, counted the votes against it. Then he took them ideas and he went and told Ron Funk of Diverse to go buy the Cacaro Ranch, and you'll meet no heckles. You bring Pete Holmes in and you bring all this and we'll develop it. We'll have council and Dave Lowens support you and you'll get it over to the community, and we'll have Vicky Hopes and the Abbotsford News do this. When Abbotsford newspaper went for sale, there was another developer that brought it. And Darren Braun showed me when Tyler Olson was still operating and the show suite was there, they hid the development sign behind the community's back. The story came out of Rob Isaac in Abbotsford City, Darren Braun, that the contractor went broke. Really. A contractor went broke in today's market. Never happened. He was being pushed out. Then City Council and Henry Braun, his Ron Funk, the CEO of Diverse, his Henry partner, went and bought this. All the illegal acts all day long on the residents, not enforced by bylaw or the Abbotsford police, dump trucks, pumper trucks, concrete going into fisheries, and no flaggers, and the list still goes on Rob Funk. Why? How is this happening when other contractors have to phone Valley Fagan and have this? How's it happening? The lackeys and the shit mob was running the community. And Henry knew. I'm in the driver's seat because I own that private police. Anybody wants to speak at the city or complain, I block them from the city auditorium, what's live streamed, and then I threaten them. Till he ran into Mr. Pelican and Abbotsford homeowners that went over to the Mission RCMP. Then came this. Rob Funk knew what he was doing when he went into Dave Scaprica's office with his staff and his project managers and the superintendents to work the phones all night for the election to help Ross Siemens get in. Rob Funk knew, as the CEO of Diverse, putting Abbotsford first and Dave Lowen's side, and Ross, right on that project, is that all what developers fear. The mayor now owes you 100%. Henry convinced put this deadbeat gas station boy in, Ross Siemens, and I'll run him from the bank, and we'll get everything that I set up in the community official plan. I knew to run for mayor. Henry knew I stopped the official community plan. So he used Greg Toes, and you could see the newspaper all by, I want to lay it out for evidence. You could see it all, he blocked me. Why did he take that position to block Mr. Pelican that was supposed to be a nobody? Because Manji Soy would have won and he would have stopped Henry Brown's thing. Then they changed the zoning and they commenced the legal project in Abbotsford City. Inspectors that are under Henry's thumb, you could see them. They never closed the Mackenzie Bog. They didn't do fines or infractions. We're told to rush it and fast track it. We got pre-sales. We took people's money. And if we get the building started, we won't be seized. Let me tell you about organized crime. This didn't happen here. I did a video from Tracy Road the other day that Dave Sadu, in order for his perk, his dad's Andy Sadu at the Chancellor of the UFV blocked me. Andy called me in, I did that video. Dave Sadu in return for helping Henry get Ross in for all these projects and trillions. You're talking trillions of dollars for that community plan. Trillions of dollars. And Dave Sadu then sat on the project of Marcus Dalvis, who ran Abbotsford first, who was their campaign sponsor and their financial agent for Ross Siemens to get a 30-story tower, quantum projects. Showed you it all, right, Henry? Henry thought he was fighting Mr. Pelican, but Henry's actually taking his son on. Then they went and changed the zoning on Dave's land on Tracy Road and told the developer, you buy it, we'll fast track it with city councils, bringing you a cold storage over all the other people that were doing it. And why would we do that? We'll go put Joe and everybody else out of business and we'll own it. Is this not what a mob does? There's no difference that I told you how long before the Abbotsford police come down with Olenoff and Gertie-Purdy, put a gun in your face and say, sell your project to me, and this is what we're looking forward and what we're coming. That's why we need the RCMP, and we're going to get the RCMP to stop threats. Especially when task force can threaten you, can phone you and do what they did. I want to tell you the best man that ever served this country is the RCMP. That's why I stand here and I can show you all the videos. I can show you the Abbotsford police. You can see now big 5 leaders don't take a picture in front of the $71 million building. They stole everything. But I was smart enough to know, ladies and gentlemen, by Darren Brown's own words, Rob Funk, a forensic audit shows you everybody who you're tied to and everything. But these audits will show you that it's only a group and a ring of people benefiting. So let me take you a little faster. When Molson wanted to come into Abbotsford, Darren Brown showed me his dad was going to own in the beer company. I said, really? He said, if that beer company doesn't let my dad in, they won't get the project. So these multi-conglomerate companies are not going to risk insider trade or bribery with the mayor like this little petty Ron Funk of Diverse. Molson wouldn't let him in, so Henry blackjacked him and sent them, and Chilliwack picked them up. Then John Deere tried it, and Henry blackjacked them, and they went to Chilliwack. All these companies, revenue that lowers your taxes went to Chilliwack. Why? Why? Why were they leaving jobs and everything? Because Henry wanted a part. Then Darren Brown brought me in and he showed me the night at Cooper's Farm how my dad was going to screw 3,000 or more people over and use Vicky Hopes to prump it up in the newspaper. Abbotsford's little councillor, Dave Lowens, Kelly Shahal, and Sandy Blue, and old Mark Warkentine, and all the scabs outvoted the community to get Polygon's farm. Darren Brown called me, set me up, and said, listen, I said, Darren, you want to go out today? He said, I can't. I said, why? He said, my dad's losing his shit. I said, oh, he's mad. He said, yeah, he's at the city right now. I said, on Sunday? He said, yeah, he just goes there before Guillon's after church. I said, what the heck's he doing? He said, he's in taking the schedule off of people's phone so they don't show up at the city auditorium. Actually, in fact, you can go pull the city auditorium video. Henry said the night there was a big mistake. He didn't admit that his wife was sitting in the car pet like a dog while he was changing the stuff upstairs on the phone. He said Peter Sparanese, which is the city manager, he did it. He did it for Polygon. And the lawyer did it. The first thing the mayor should do, bring the RCMP, maybe call the Safety Standards Act, and get a criminal investigation that you took a bribe, a massive bribe over the community. People didn't get to speak at it, and you were fast-tracking it. Peter Sparanese never did it. And the city lawyer never did it. How can I be so sure? When Darren Brown told me the city was under works, if you go look, I came in, put a hard hat on, the checkered vest, followed shitbox right up to the 5th floor. He was on the phone, I suspect, to Nancy Friesen. I couldn't see through the phone, saying, how do you do it? Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, it's all gone now. That'll work. Henry Brown went into that city. Let me tell you what he did. He played a dumb, broken farmer on Downs. He inherited a lot of money from his dad from the old P&R railroads. He went in to invest that money, sell the other things that weren't making him money, malls, and then invest it. He knew once you sell a project, you got to invest that money or you pay capital gains. So he started buying land, if you go look in the city archives. He asked Abbotsford First to sit on when he said, I'm in conflict of interest. I own a half a share in this. I own a half a share in that. I own a half a share in this. I own a half a share in that. I'm a half a share with this developer. I'm a half a share with that developer. I'm a half a share over here. I'm a half a share there. I own a half a share there. I'm in a half a share with this developer. I'm in a half a share there. I'm in a half a share, half a share. Now what takes place? You go look at them jobs. They're being fast-tracked now by Ross Siemens and Abbotsford First. Why? Because they were Henry's partners. Them jobs are coming over everybody else. So what does it do by bringing the RCMP in? Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, Henry Brown got in his Alexis car to end my life. He didn't care because he believed he had enough power through Mike Sir to cover it. Then he asked Mike Sir and the Abbotsford Police to cover it and not charge him so he could sit out his term to fail the commercial community plan, because all these developers that he lobbied these jobs, if he got the courts in here, start taking it. Henry doesn't got to worry about Mr. Pelican. They're going to come up his driveway and come up his ass because of what he did, and rightfully so. Then Mr. Braun and his lackeys are going to feel what it feels like when people start threatening you like he did. So Henry Brown had to go one step further. He used the Abbotsford Police that he's tied to, and which are his friends, to start threatening. He used them on my job site. The RCMP said, get that witnessed. He used them at my house constantly, get that witnessed. And he used them trying to impede me and get me as many fines as he could so I would give up and leave Abbotsford. The RCMP kept pulling me up and saying, reassure me, we know that you got no criminal records. We know, and we know that you never slept with Henry's daughter or anything else. You have no history with Henry. We know what it's about. The Abbotsford Police were in high organized crime and figured they would never get caught. And I'm going to ask you this, Chief Watts. This was done on all developers. So I want to make this video today for Abbotsford developers and developers that come in. As mayor, I'm going to give you a fair playing ground. As mayor, I'm going to go after that with the Supreme Court and take them assets because it was inside trading on Ron Funk. Of all these projects that being rushed through Abbotsford, the Kakara Ranch and many more, they were standing to gain and they were blocking other people. Why? You know what it cost you to propose a development site, a small development site, to get an architect, get an environmental study done, get all your paperwork done, hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're a small person. That's why you see people bring it to DP and then they sell it because they can't do the rest. But you imagine that you get to the city and you got a greedy little shitbox like Henry Brown figuring I'm untouchable. Me and my mob people get it and nobody else. I'm going to make sure that them city videos, and Henry took open mic away so people couldn't speak. He used to shut down videos and everything and then tell people to come upstairs. When Mogil was the city council and ran for mayor, he knew it was already pushing the boundaries of what this shitbox was doing with his friends. So I suggest to Ron Funk, you're getting to the top of the roof. I suggest you jump now, because I'm going to tell you, I am not one to be played around with. I climbed the ladder federally, provincially, and everywhere for my community and my residents. And I'll fight tooth and nails. And if you go over to George Ferguson's grave, he's sitting up right now, probably clapping, while Henry's dad's flipping in his grave going, what the hell, son? What did you and Erwin Braun did? I want to make it clear to all residents. Henry abused the law. He thought he was that rich, but he tried to end my life and he bought special favors. And you can see by Mike Sear fleeing out of Abbotsford, he didn't even come back to say this is a new police building. He shit his drawers, and he's probably buying more underpants at Walmart because he knew this was off the rails. I want to make it clear to everybody. This calls for the federal government because it had MLAs involved. It had Pam involved, rushing, Riverside, and everything. But I want to end my podcast to all developers. A fair playing ground. Threats on families, you want to purchase their land, you do it. Henry Brown was the mastermind and the engine of everything. He violated that city. He violated elections. He bought people, paid people, and then he threatened residents. And Rob Funk is the tip of the iceberg of what I'm saying. This is what they were doing on insider trading. Ron Funk, staff told me today, you know how big Ron Funk is, Mr. Pelican? He's got every mayor's phone number, and when he calls him, he calls him. I said, really? That means if Ron Funk did this here, that means he must be doing it in other communities. I don't want to be them mayors if that's happening, because they're owned by the RCMP. There are no private police in there. To Ron Funk and diverse. I suggest you go up to Henry Brown and you say these words to Henry Brown as I say them to you. If you wouldn't have got in that car and left the city and went to that protest where they were protesting and you were doing what was right as a mayor and not scamming, and have your shit old son in front of you to lift, and all them councillors in your house and collaborating, and try to kill Mr. Pelican and end his life, this would have never came off the rails, and we would have been millionaires and we would have locked this town down and owned it. A mistake like that opened it up. I'm live, ladies and gentlemen, Abbotsford, BC, here. And this is only the first video on Rob Funk. Watch me show you more.